Sometimes we feel like pitying people like Julius Malema because of the people that have betrayed him. But once you hear the nonsense that he spews, that's when you remember that actually Julius has been part of the problem for a long time. He goes into a redemption arc where he fights to get Zuma removed, and then he goes on to say Zuma must be left alone. He paid his price, blah, blah, blah. And then he invites Zuma to join his party. He does not care about common sense and what is right or wrong. He simply wants to rule at all costs, playing the politics of numbers instead of the politics of what is right and proper for the nation of South Africa and its citizens. He is talking rubbish as usual. He's asked a simple question. Listen to his response.
So, who is a problem here?
I'm not saying you're a problem. I'm saying you are a problem to your fellow South Africans.
It's not true.
Who are saying this guy from Zim has taken my potential job as a waiter. Who's taken my potential job as a petrol attendant, and so forth and so forth. I'm saying, and I will be the first to say, there's nothing wrong. I agree with your principles, but I'm equally saying to you that you have South Africans who will not want to understand the core of your message. They will take this, they will scheme it at the top where you say open borders. They say you can't open a border for a guy to come and take my job. That is their perspective. And I'm saying to you, are you sure that that is not one of the things that compromises you as a political party in the long run?
Nah. You know, South Africans don't want slave jobs. Rightfully so. This thing that you're calling jobs are slaves jobs. They don't pay anything. And people get dismissed with ease. So
if working for 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 rand per month makes you a slave, then sitting at home and just waiting for 350 that you get for doing nothing makes you what? What type of a leader demeans people who get up daily to earn an honest living but encourages people to do nothing and wait for the government to feed them?
Don't be lazy. Deserve better. Don't be lazy. Please, don't be lazy. Enzana bantwana SG lingalali. When we leave here, sicela ukuthi nibe busy. Please. And I don't care whether you are poor or not. Enzana abantwana. Comrades, enzana abantwana ngizawukhokhela mna because siyayidabula i-child grant from 510 to 1,020 rand.
I have said this many times on this channel. These comrades come out, open their mouths and sound like they're empowering you, while in fact they are taking away your power. This is a political leader who wants you to neglect your responsibility of taking care of yourself and your children and hand it over to the government. Yes, to an irresponsible adult, that sounds like heaven. But to a person who uses their brain, you know that that is nonsense. Your child is your responsibility. Additionally, there is absolutely nothing for mahala. How does this guy still have supporters when he spews such rubbish?
if you say to me, I've got 5 chefs that are South Africans, and there are 5 Zimbabwean chefs who took their job, give me those names. I can take them anywhere and say, here are the South Africans chefs who want to work. Give me anyone. South Africans want quality paying jobs. They don't want slaves jobs.
South Africans don't want slave jobs. Which South Africans did he speak to get the idea that South Africans view jobs such as petrol attendants and waiters as slave jobs? What is he talking about? Imagine what kind of leader you would have to be to think like this. I mean, is that what the majority of people in South Africa believe? Do the millions of South Africans who are jobless believe in what Julius is saying here? There are many South Africans we meet at the clinics, the mall, and other places who are desperate for those slave jobs. People who are willing to use their hands to work instead of waiting for grants. There's a gentleman I met at a nursery nearby who lost his job and asked if we needed help with gardening, painting, or anything. There are South Africans who come to your gate and offer to cut your grass even when they can clearly see that it is cut. People who literally say, I will do anything, just as David Mashabela is telling Julius about the many people who call his radio station looking for any honest job.
On a Wednesday on my radio show, I have this thing where I say, call in if you're looking for a job.
Yeah.
And all you do is you send us a voice note. Hi, my name is David Mashabela. I can do anything.
Yeah.
I have matric.
Yeah.
I can work anywhere.
Yeah.
I'm even willing to move. This is me giving you an example.
Yeah.
I'm even willing to relocate.
Yeah.
I can look after your children. I can do your garden. These are South Africans who are saying that. And these are South Africans that are saying, all I need is to feed my children.
Did you place them?
No, a lot of them get jobs through this program. A lot of them get this, jobs where someone is listening and say, we're looking for someone like that. We're looking, even I look for someone to come and close my roof when it was leaking. And I found them through that same platform. I'm merely saying there are those people that just want a job irrespective of the type of job.
No, we can't advocate for that. We can't advocate.
But this person is hungry.
No,
their children are.
No, we can't advocate for slavery jobs.
We have South Africans of all colors packing groceries in Spar, Pick n Pay, and other shops. We have till attendants and securities. We have taxi drivers and waitresses. Then we have a leader calling these slave jobs. We have South Africans of different ages and colors going through bins to find bottles and plastics to sell to recycling companies. This is not a South African thing. This is something that happens across the world. There will always be someone who will have to do these jobs. The craziest thing is many South Africans are begging to be employed by anyone for any job because they lack experience. Where do you get experience if you don't start off by doing those so-called slave jobs? How can you be a manager of a car wash if you have never washed a car? How can you open your own restaurant or be the head chef if you have never flipped burgers or even made a pizza in your entire life? How do you expect to be a construction supervisor if you have never held a brick in your life? The problem is Julius has never worked hard for a job in his entire life, so how can he possibly understand what the journey to the top for a working person is? As a South African, that is what is called an honest day at work. You don't just become a CEO of a company. There are many massive companies that exist right now, many that did not start with boardrooms and fancy offices. The problem in South Africa is that you have people like Julius who hate white people so much that they want what a few white people have. Anything less than that is considered a slave job. The Oppenheimers and the Ruperts have massive companies, so that's what we want. Life is simpler than that. Success is different for every South African. These so-called slave jobs are jobs that students are supposed to be doing to get experience and earn grocery money or pocket money. Growing up, we knew that many students work in restaurants and various shops. But today, instead of many of them doing these so-called slave jobs, Congolese, Malawians, and Zimbabweans have taken over. And some of the students are now resorting to immoral ways of making grocery and pocket money. They could have been packing groceries or clothes on shelves or doing filing in companies, but some now have the same attitude and mindset of Julius Malema. Instead of having a job, our university students are going around with men and women with AMGs and BMWs just to make money. But then I guess to the EFF, when students go to sell themselves to these men and women, they are not prosties. They are sex workers. They need to be professionalized and allowed to treat it as a field of expertise. So cleaning cars and flipping burgers is for slaves, but being a prosty, oh, that is great.
For a car?
Yes.
And you own several businesses?
Yes.
Why would you go?
Because I can't afford a G7. Like before the Sandero, I was driving a racked up Avanza and I did not care. I need a car to move from point A to point B. People start seeing revenue and then they start thinking, oh, let me get myself a fancy car or let me wear expensive, super expensive clothes. For me, it's all about the long game. For me, it's all about building. Morning, guys.
So how long has it been since you started your first business and to where you are now?
So I started Tacky Wash in 2016. I was working from home on the Bluff and I got my own place in 2017 and I worked from there. And then in 2018, on the 1st of July, I occupied Tacky Wash next door.
So like the whole design and aesthetic of the place, that's all you?
Yes.
You got an eye for this, huh?
Yes, I enjoy it. But let me just tell you one thing. All the wood counters in the store are salvaged.
Oh.
Yeah. This is salvaged wood. This used to be a bar from La Bella, which is a restaurant I used to work at across the road. So that's La Bella.
Okay.
A friend of mine, she'll tell you that one day I walked down, I was like, I'm telling you, one day I'll own this shop front, like I'll occupy this shop front. And when it happened, and we came in the morning to pray to open the shop, she reminded me and I broke down in tears because I had forgotten.
Even in America, they have people who need these slave jobs. Those are jobs that could have helped an American family. Trump was elected because illegal foreigners are taking those jobs, just like in South Africa. We have South Africans standing around corners begging for money to feed their families. They wake up in the morning to guard cars to get gratuity from people, 2 rand, 5 rand, 10 rand, whatever. And yet Julius is trying to tell us that a person who goes to work earning minimum wage is getting nothing.
This thing that you're calling jobs are slaves jobs. They don't pay anything. And people get dismissed with ease. So South Africans want quality paying jobs. They don't want slaves jobs. You are...
Uyavumelana naye?
Ya lento ukuthi abantu bala eSouth Africa ne abantu baningi vele mina ngihlala ngikhuluma right through. Bathanda kakhulu imali mara bangafuni ukuyisebenza.
Zimbabweans are domestic workers in South Africa, buying land back in Zimbabwe. They are building houses, sending children to schools and doing the best they can. And you are telling us that those jobs pay nothing.
You are saying Zimbabweans have taken jobs, and then the only example you can give me is waiter.
Well, I'm giving examples.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
It's waiter.
Yes.
They've not taken anything strategic that which constitute the economy.
Julius wants South Africans to take the jobs that are strategic. Those jobs do not make themselves. Companies with those jobs do not create themselves. They are created by people who were just like you and I. They work hard using experience, skills, and dedication to create something they desire, something that will be of value to society. Let me give you an example. Here's a Ukrainian, Jan Kum.
And he has such a fascinating story. He actually immigrated to Mountain View from Ukraine when he was in his teens. He was completely poor. He could barely speak English. He was living off of food stamps. Jan ended up dropping out of college to work full-time at Yahoo. That's where he met his co-founder.
He made 19 billion from Facebook. How? How did he make it? Most of you have no clue who this man is. You don't know that he lived in government-subsidized housing. He was an immigrant in America, and yet his invention is a big part of your life. He created WhatsApp, which was bought by Facebook for billions. But let me guess, you do know Nicki Minaj and Taylor Swift, don't you? You do know Drake and George Floyd. How about Madame C.J. Walker? I bet you don't know her. Her parents were slaves in America. What is she known for? She is the first self-made female millionaire in America. She is the best example in this case. Why? Because she started as a domestic worker, those so-called slave jobs Julius hates. That was her first job. Remember, her parents were slaves. She wasn't, because slavery was banned by Abraham Lincoln when she was a child. Here's a quote. I had little or no opportunity when I started out in life, having been left an orphan and being without mother or father since I was 7 years of age. She also stated that she had only 3 months of formal education, which she undertook during Sunday school literacy lessons at the church she attended during her earlier years. She opened schools and elevated and educated her community. These are the types of women that all women, whether black, white, Indian, or colored, should be looking up to. But instead, who do you look up to? Communists and workers.
I'm merely saying there are those people that just want a job irrespective of the type of job.
No, we can't advocate for that. We can't advocate.
But this person is hungry.
No,
their children are.
No, we can't advocate for slavery jobs.
Mara ngokuthi siphethwe indlala sizenzani sifanele sisebenzeni ngoba masingasebenzi sizotshontsha. Yebona? Masingasebenzi siyotshontsha vela ayikho enye indlela. Manje kungcono yona le sente ngithola khona lapha emsebenzini. Ngisebenze ngiphilisa abantwana bami khona. Yeah.
This communist Julius Malema is a reason why we have so many unions putting this mindset in many South African workers. Don't go looking for work trying to be guaranteed a lifetime of earnings. If you really want a lifetime of earnings, create your own companies and grow them.
Slavery is an unacceptable thing which we must never justify. Let's create quality jobs for our people which have got benefits, which have got pension fund. These people that you got jobs so I can do anything, there's no pension fund. There's no job guarantee.
Ya ndikotoda mushumo nga nḓila iṅwe na iṅwe ngauri ndi security na ngauri tshelede ine nda ketoda ndiko wana hanefho ndi khou wana hone mara ti khou kona u tswa mara ndi khou livha uri a ti khou kona u tswa mara ndi khou shuma mara ti khou abantwana bami nabantwana bayithu bahluleka kuya phambili kuya esikolweni manje mina ngoba ngisecurity leyo ngivumela ukuthi yona le mali ngiyitholayo i-right ngoba mina angitshontshe abantu ngifuna ukutshontsha abantu yiyo into engabatshela ngathi kakhulu into ukuthi angifuni ukutshontsha mara umsebenzi wona kakhulu ngiyafuna umsebenzi yiyo into engayikhuluma ngayo.
The examples I've given you are examples that are trying to tell you something important. Every little thing on earth was started from humble beginnings. Go far back enough, there was someone who was broke and struggling, and they chose to not blame anyone, but to make something of themselves. Julius sees these massive companies now, and he simply wants them. That is jealousy. These massive companies were started by people whose grandparents or great-great-grandparents were suffering just like you and I. Look at us over here. It's been 30 years since the end of apartheid, and we are still blaming apartheid. Meanwhile, a woman who was born during slavery, who was a daughter of slaves herself, who was an orphan, achieved greatness. Did she say, oh, poor me, I'm a descendant of slaves. I am not educated. I am an orphan. No, she did not. She is not the only one, by the way. There are many people who came out of poverty through hard work and sheer determination. She did the slave jobs, domestic worker, laundress, and so much more until she made it. Those are the true icons and people to look up to. She did not focus on acquiring and showing off with luxury items like the Zumas and the Mkizes. She started schools and funded projects to elevate her people. She employed thousands. She learned marketing from her husband. She used her daughter to help her grow the business. Guess what? Though she started by having a slave job, according to Julius, she created a cosmetics company, Madam C.J. Walker Manufacturing Company, that created more slave jobs, but within the same company were jobs for accountants, directors, managers, and so on. Who is listening to these EFF fools? Instead of listening to Julius, listen to these words from Madam Walker. I'm a woman who came from the cotton fields of the South. From there, I was promoted to the wash tub. From there, I was promoted to the cook kitchen. And from there, I promoted myself into the business of manufacturing hair goods and preparations. I've built my own factory on my own ground. Dear South Africans, ultimately, it is up to you. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Join the channel membership or make a donation to our account. I'm Katlego. This is Citizen Concerned. And until next time, beware of the comrades.